Yeah, so what you had done right there was, I was saying that I thought that was a really good example of wait time, because, you can see her kind of looking up and thinking, and you were really maintaining that eye contact, so it was very much, I'm here with you, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting to give you that time to think, because I can see that you're thinking.
Okay.
So I know that was one of the things that we had on here, providing that wait time to
Right.
answer. And that is going to, because, that's just, I really discovered today watching you that is, that's the difficult question. That's really the kicker there. And I think that they are going to need some more wait time. And there's other things I want to talk about with that question, but I think we can do that later.
Okay. And you're welcome to do it now if you want to. Do you still like the question?
I do. I at least want to get through where she's
Okay.
talking about the question and stuff.
That's fine. Let's do
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Definitely doing something that she would love. I'm not going to push her to do something, but I would love for her to have the schooling to do what she would love. All right, thank you.
I think that's the end of that one.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so, I knew coming into this that was going to be kind of the difficult question to answer. And that was the question I mentioned earlier when we were doing our modeling brief, that's the one I didn't want to give her a heads up on, because I didn't want her to be able to think about it. I wanted her to have to do spur of the moment, how do you react to that question, and what does it look like? And as you know, I stopped her, right after this interview, called her back and asked her about that question, and we had that conversation, and Mira, who was videotaping, was able to kind of help with that conversation. And I really, I do feel very comfortable after doing that, having that question in there, and I think I feel more confident now about being able to do some follow-up, that follow-up question. Like for you, it was, seeing, she's saying success, and so then I can say, okay, so what is it that success means for you? What does that look like for you and your child? So, and I think that, Emily was pointing out herself too, it really gets you thinking, and it really might be the first time that parents are really thinking about that question. So some of my thinking as far as what I might do is I definitely do like what you were talking about it being really open-ended and really letting the parents take it where they want to take it. And so, when they're asking, like when Emily is asking how far into the future, that you still left that wide open for her, that is totally up to you. It could be that you're envisioning her in kindergarten, it could be you're envisioning them in high school, it could be you're envisioning them as an adult, because it really is about.
Okay, so do you feel like then, with that question as a good example, for the rubric, then does the rubric then capture that flexibility by saying clarify understanding for parents for at least 2 questions?
Well, you know what, as I was going through, kind of thinking back on this whole thing as a whole, I think this is the only question that a parent might need any clarification for. And for us, what I was discovering as I was watching you do the interview, that it wasn't the parents needing to, so do you understand what I mean when I say tell me about Sam? It's like, well, duh.
Right.
That wasn't needed, but what was needed was clarification for us as to the parents. That was the clarification that needed to happen. This is probably the only question where the parents are probably going to be saying, so what does that mean?
Right, and in
But I like
preparation.
the idea of, well, that's why we kind of have it like this, because I want to know what it means to you, and it's not about what it means to me.
Right. I was thinking about that during my preparation for the modeling, because when I thought about the first question, there's no clarification. Like you said, tell me about, okay.
Yes.
Even what activities does your family enjoy? Well, maybe there might be a family or a parent who it could be for language purposes or their culture. They might say, what do you mean activities? You know what I mean? I mean, it could, or it may not. So I kind of left that, open to, that's a possibility. But then also, I thought there might be some questions around difficult part.
Yeah.
They may need a little extra clarification on what is difficult part. And especially if they just kind of give you that blank stare. So that might be another time. So as I was preparing, I felt like 2 was very reasonable. Because out of those 5, I felt like there could easily be 2 out of those 5. And then also, who do you turn to for support? Support of what? Or what I'm saying? It could come up. But how do you feel? Do you feel like the rubric needs to be less than 2?
I do, because I think it's more about, I don't think that the parents are going to need as much clarification as I thought that they would.
Okay.
I think that we need to be open to clarify for parents whenever they need it, but I don't think that there needs to be a specific, you have to ask at least twice, because if they're like, oh yeah, I understand what that question means. Or when we're saying, is there a difficult part of the day for you and Sam, and they interpret that differently than I did, then I'm just going to let them roll with that,
So do you want, because you did change it to 2 during the briefing, do you want to change it to 1? To at least have that opportunity?
Is there I'm trying to think, I'm thinking of medications class now. And in medications, they're like, well, how do you know? When we're doing things like that.
I thought you were going to say
as needed. Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And how do you know when it's needed? But clarifying understanding for parents.
Clarify understanding for parents.
Because what I want to say is as needed, which I guess would look like if they're silent, if they ask. What might be another indication of clarification? Because I'm thinking if they answer and their answer is totally off base, then I don't think I would go back and say, oh no, this is what I meant. I might rephrase the question and ask it again in a totally different way, but without letting them know I'm asking it in a totally different way, because I wouldn't want them to ever feel in any way I was saying, oh, I don't think you understood what I was saying, because I just feel like that's like a foop. You just said you did it wrong, those kinds of things that just might put this huge wall in. For some people, I want this to be really open and friendly. And so, if they answered something totally off base, then it might be, this is really important for me, and so I'm going to just ask that in a different way, and see
I don't
if you get
see
it there.
anything wrong with as needed.
And you think that that's okay, that we can, that'll be obvious enough as to what that means? Because I was just thinking of medications that are like, how do you know what's
If
needed?
as needed is there, then we know that there could be a need. And then if you go down to unmet, it would be asking less than 2 questions or no opportunity for clarification of understanding. So
No
in other
opportunity
words,
still definitely works. Yeah.
right, I think it would work too, because if we noticed there was an opportunity to do that and it should have been done because it was needed and it didn't happen, then it would be unmet. I think that works. Okay, I do too.
Do you think that we need to kind of define as needed or what that means? Like, blank stare, not answering question.
That's a good question. Okay.
If they're not answering the question, that would definitely be an indicator to me. So maybe we can kind of define as needed as.
Right, some examples.
Yeah.
With blank stare or not answering
Blank stare,
question.
no answer,
Mm-hmm.
or that they ask for clarification.
Okay.
Just like Emily did when she said,
Right.
like, in what envision in the future, like how long into the future?
Right.
So if they ask for clarification, then that would definitely be an as needed.
Because I do see how that could be awkward if there's just, that they just understand every single question and they're
And
answering
I feel
every
like
single
I need to put in
question.
some understanding.
And yeah, and you feel like, oh, I should, but I needed to paraphrase somewhere, but.
So did that make sense to you?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I answered, did I?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that was a good observation.
Okay, and the other thing that I'm thinking of for me on that particular question
Mm-hmm.
is that I'm thinking when I go into it that I might need to say something like, this is a question that's probably going to take a little bit of thinking time. So so just so you know, I'm just going to give you some time to just kind of think. And that's okay, because this is going to be a little bit of this is going to be an unusual question.
Yeah, so
This might
it's
be
like
an
you're giving them
unusual
permission
question, so-
to take their time, and also it's also giving them a little bit of comfort to know that just because I'm really, really quiet, there's nothing wrong. I'm just really wanting to listen. I really want to take the time to listen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm thinking for that particular question that it might need a little bit of a lead-in of, this question is, this is kind of an unusual question. And so, I want you to know that I'm going to give you some extra time to just kind of think. So take as much time as you need to really kind of think about how you might want to answer it. And if it doesn't make sense,
Okay.
you can ask.
What do you think about this? Maybe instead of giving it a descriptive, unusual, like this is an unusual question, what if it's just a simply, now this next question I want to give you a lot of time to really think about the answer. I want to make sure you have time to think about the answer. So take your
Oh,
time.
I like that. I want to
Take your
make
time.
sure you have time to think.
Okay.
I like that. I'm going to write that down. Okay. This next question, I want to make sure you have time, so not like you have to take time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I really like the way you worded that. And I want to make sure that you have time.
To think about your answer?
Yeah.
Or,
I want to make sure that you have time to think for this next question. I want to make sure that you have some time to think about it.
okay. Yeah, that's Rachel's speak too.
Because it might be,
That's
and it
what
might
it's
be,
in.
I'm thinking about what is this question and what does it mean? Or it might be, I'm thinking about my answer for this question. Yeah,
Okay.
I want to make sure you have enough time to think about it. So
Okay, so for
then I can
this
say,
next question.
don't feel pressured, but I really like that lead in. And it might then be so, take your time, or don't feel we're in a rush or something if you need some extra time to think.
Okay,
That's
so
awesome.
how does this sound to you? For this next question, I want to give you, I'm sorry, let me start over. For this next question, I want to make sure you have time to think about it. Is that how you want to word it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And then to make sure that we're consistent with the script, do you want me to send you this template and you make the changes, or do you want me to make the changes and send it to you and you read it over and make sure it's what you wanted?
Can we talk about that at the end of this?
Sure.
All right, because I have some other thoughts on it.
Okay. So are we ready to watch some more? Or do you
Yeah,
wanna
we've
talk
got
about-
2 more questions. Nope, I just really wanted to point out that I thought that something kind of needed to be at the beginning of that question. Some kind of little intro.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Is there a difficult part of the day for you and Sam? I guess one would be, she's an only child, so she's very, almost needy. And I don't know if that's the right word I want to say, but, if I'm on the phone or something, she has something to tell me right away. You gotta wait, sweetie, till I'm done. And it's more, it can't wait, you have to listen to me. And I know we've talked about this in the past, but in school, I'm sure she's doing the same, playing with other kids, and your attention might be somewhere else, or just hold on, and that's very hard for her. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. And, pretty typical for that age. Right, yes. All right. Are there any other times of the day that are not easy, or, you struggle, the two of you struggle?